You know what's crazy? Most people spend their entire lives talking themselves out of their own potential. They say things like, I'm not good enough, I'll never make it, or maybe one day. And then they wonder why nothing changes. But what if, just for 3 days, you decided to speak to yourself differently? Not with doubt, not with fear, but with absolute power. 3 days of no self-trash talk. 3 days of commanding your mind instead of obeying it. You'd be shocked how fast your energy shifts, your confidence grows, and your focus sharpens. Because the truth is, your life will only rise to the level of your self-talk. You want to know the truth? The way you speak to yourself every single day is either building you or breaking you. People think confidence just shows up out of nowhere. It doesn't. Confidence is trained. And it starts with your voice. That voice in your head that no one else hears? That's the most powerful voice you have. For the next 3 days, I want you to become obsessed with how you talk to yourself, because that conversation determines how you show up in every single part of your life. When you wake up tomorrow, pay attention to what you say before you even leave your bed. Do you sigh, complain, or tell yourself you're tired? Or do you sit up and say, let's go. I've got things to do. I've got people to prove wrong. I've got dreams to chase. The language you use sets the tone for your day. You don't need motivation, you need command. Speak to yourself like someone who means business. Because the world listens to the way you carry yourself, and that begins with how you talk to you. For 3 days, remove every weak word from your vocabulary. No more I can't, no more maybe, no more I'll try. Those are escape words. They give you an out before you've even begun. Replace them with certainty. I will, I am, I've got this. Your brain believes repetition. If you keep feeding it strength, it will respond with strength. If you feed it excuses, it will hand you comfort. You have to decide what you want more, comfort or control. Every time you catch yourself saying something negative, stop right there. Don't let it slide. You wouldn't allow someone else to talk to you with disrespect, so why let your own mind do it? Look in the mirror and take charge. Tell yourself, I'm done speaking weakness into my life. Say it out loud. Feel it in your chest. Because when you speak powerfully, you start to think powerfully. And when you think powerfully, your actions begin to follow. You're going to feel resistance at first. That's normal. Your old voice will try to pull you back. It'll tell you this is silly or fake. But that's just the sound of your limits trying to keep you small. Don't listen. Keep going. Every time you override that negative thought, you're rewiring your mind. 3 days of this, 3 days of self-respect in your language, and you'll start to feel a difference. Your shoulders will pull back a little more. Your eyes will look sharper. You'll start to move like someone who knows where they're going. So for the next 3 days, make your self-talk your strongest weapon. No more weakness, no more self-doubt, no more apologizing for wanting more. You owe it to yourself to hear your own strength. Talk to yourself like someone you believe in. Because once you do that, the world will start believing too. And that's how real confidence is built, from the inside out, one powerful word at a time. For just 3 days, I want you to run an experiment. Not a big, dramatic one. Just you, your thoughts, and your voice. For 3 days, talk to yourself like someone you actually respect. Because here's the thing. Most people never even realize how cruel they are to themselves. They'll hype up their friends, encourage their family, cheer for strangers online, and then when it comes to their own reflection, all they do is criticize. They'll say, I'm so behind, or I'll never get it right. And they do it so often, it becomes normal. But what if for 3 days you stopped doing that? What if you treated yourself like someone you wanted to win? When you respect yourself in your own head, your energy starts to change. You walk differently, you make decisions differently, you start to carry yourself like someone who matters. And that's the shift we're after, because respect isn't something that magically appears. It's built through repetition. It's built every time you choose to replace I'm not enough with I'm getting stronger. Every time you silence that voice that says you can't and replace it with watch me. For 3 days, I want you to become your own coach. When things go wrong, don't fall apart. Talk to yourself the way someone strong would. When you fail, instead of tearing yourself down, ask, What did I learn? What's the next step? That's how mentally tough people think. They don't waste time in self-pity. They redirect. They adjust. They move forward. That's how you earn your own respect. The moment you begin speaking to yourself with respect, you'll notice how quickly your focus sharpens. Because when you're not busy doubting yourself, you have more energy to actually do something. You stop hesitating and start acting. It's not magic, it's clarity. When your inner voice says, "You've got this," you move differently. You show up with more presence, more conviction, more control. And people around you start noticing too, even if they can't explain why. Now, this isn't about pretending you're perfect or ignoring your flaws. It's about choosing the kind of voice you want leading your life. You can lead yourself with fear, or you can lead yourself with respect. Fear will shrink you. Respect will elevate you. So for 3 days, try this. Every time you talk to yourself, imagine you're speaking to someone you deeply admire. You wouldn't insult them. You wouldn't belittle them. You'd lift them up. You'd challenge them to rise. Do that for yourself. 3 days of this, and you'll feel it. Your mind will start fighting for you instead of against you. You'll catch yourself smiling at small wins. You'll feel calmer under pressure. You'll start believing that you deserve better, not because someone told you, but because you told yourself. Respect starts within. So for the next 3 days, talk to yourself like someone who's already on their way up, because the truth is, you are. For the next 3 days, I want you to eliminate every single negative phrase from your vocabulary. Not just out loud, inside your mind too. Every time you catch yourself saying, "I can't," "I'm tired," "I'm not enough," I want you to stop right there and replace it immediately. You might think those words are harmless, but they're not. Every negative word you say about yourself is like a small crack in your foundation. It weakens you, little by little, until your confidence starts collapsing. You can't build a strong life on a weak voice. You can't become powerful while speaking powerlessness into existence. You've got to realize that words are energy. They either charge you or drain you. When you keep repeating, "I can't," your brain believes it. It adjusts your effort, your body language, and your decisions to match that limitation. But when you say, "I can figure this out," everything in you starts searching for solutions. That's the power of language. It's not just communication, it's creation. You create your mindset every time you speak. So for 3 days, I want you to treat your language like sacred ground. Nothing weak, nothing defeated, nothing that insults your potential. Most people don't even notice how negative they sound. They complain out of habit. They exaggerate how hard life is. They call themselves names when they make a mistake. But here's what happens. Every complaint trains your brain to look for more problems. Every self-insult teaches your mind to lower its standards. That's why you feel stuck, because your thoughts keep rehearsing struggle instead of success. For these 3 days, I want you to catch those words and flip them. If you're tired, say, "I'm recharging." If you feel lost, say, "I'm learning." You don't lie to yourself. You lead yourself. The way you speak determines how much fight you have left in you. When life hits you, your language is what decides whether you stay down or get up. If you talk defeat, you live defeat. But if you talk strength, even when you don't feel it, you give yourself a chance to rise. I'm not saying it's easy, I'm saying it's necessary, because when you eliminate negative talk, you remove the excuses that make failure comfortable. You stop feeding your fears and start feeding your focus. So for 3 days, ban every self-defeating word. Replace them with phrases that build you, not break you. You'll be shocked by how fast your energy shifts. You'll notice your mood changing, your body language straightening, your confidence returning. It's not magic, it's mastery. You're teaching your mind what kind of person you are. Someone who refuses to speak weakness, someone who commands strength. Because if you wouldn't let anyone else talk to you that way, you shouldn't let yourself either. For 3 days, speak power only and watch how your entire world starts to follow that voice. Every single time you criticize yourself, you weaken your command over your own life. You start treating yourself like a problem instead of a possibility. The words, "I'm lazy," "I'm useless," or "I'll never change" sound harmless, but they're not. They strip you of authority. They turn you into your own enemy. You start believing you're broken instead of realizing you're just undisciplined in your direction. There's a massive difference between beating yourself up and holding yourself accountable. One destroys you, the other builds you. For the next 3 days, I want you to stop criticizing and start commanding. When you catch yourself saying, I'm lazy, stop. That phrase gives away your power. It declares that laziness controls you. But when you switch to get up, move, let's go, everything shifts. That's leadership. That's you taking charge of your own mind. You're not asking for motivation, you're giving yourself orders. You're saying, I decide what happens next. And the moment you start speaking that way, your body begins to follow. The tone of command changes everything. It changes your posture, your focus, your energy, because your brain doesn't respond to emotion. It responds to instruction. You have to understand that self-criticism doesn't make you stronger. It makes you smaller. You think you're holding yourself accountable by being tough, but you're not. You're punishing yourself for being human. True strength is not calling yourself names. It's calling yourself to action. It's standing up in the middle of your mess and saying, I can fix this, I can move, I can lead myself out. That's the difference between someone who stays stuck and someone who grows. The commander gives direction, even in chaos. Commanding yourself doesn't mean shouting or pretending to be fearless. It means taking control of your language. It's switching from, I hope I can do this, to, I'm doing this now. It's replacing I'll try with I will. It's stopping that endless loop of doubt with a single firm statement that moves you forward. You talk to yourself the way a leader talks to their team, clear, direct, confident. Because if you keep treating your mind like a lost child, it will act like one. But if you speak to it like a disciplined soldier, it will start performing like one. You can't afford to be your own critic anymore. You've spent enough time tearing yourself down for what you haven't done. It's time to give commands for what you're about to do. When you say, get up, you get up. When you say, focus, you focus. When you say, enough, you mean it. This is how you build self-respect, by keeping promises to yourself through action. For the next 3 days, every time you start to criticize, change it to a command. Lead yourself the way you wish someone else had led you. Because the truth is, no one is coming to save you. You are the commander of your own life. And when you start talking like it, everything around you begins to listen. Every morning when you stand in front of that mirror, you're not just looking at your reflection. You're looking at the person responsible for everything that happens next. That mirror isn't there to judge you. It's there to remind you of who you can be. Most people avoid their reflection because they can't stand facing themselves. They rush through the morning, brushing their teeth, washing their face, but never once looking into their own eyes. They don't want to confront the truth, but that truth is exactly where your power lives. You can't control the world until you learn to control yourself, and you can't control yourself until you can look yourself in the eye. For the next 3 days, I want you to make that mirror your training ground. When you wake up, stand in front of it and say out loud, you're strong, you're calm, you've got this. It doesn't matter if it feels uncomfortable or fake. It doesn't matter if you don't believe it yet. You're not waiting for belief, you're building it. Because the moment you start speaking strength into your reflection, your brain begins to reprogram itself. Your voice becomes the new command center, and your reflection becomes the soldier that follows it. You start to align your words, your posture, and your emotions. That's how mental control is built, through consistency, not comfort. At first, you'll feel resistance. You'll feel ridiculous talking to yourself. You'll think it's pointless. But I promise you, it's not. Because what you're doing is breaking years of internal conditioning. You've probably spent most of your life letting that mirror remind you of your flaws. You've looked at your face and seen what's missing, what's wrong, what could be better. Now for 3 days, you're going to flip that script. You're going to teach your brain to see strength where it used to see weakness. You're going to speak victory into the same reflection that used to make you doubt yourself. That's how transformation starts, from the inside out. As you keep doing it, something subtle begins to shift. You'll notice your voice getting steadier. You'll notice the tone in your words becoming firmer. That's not an act. That's you reclaiming control. Every time you look yourself in the eyes and speak power, you're reminding your mind who's in charge. You're saying, I decide how I feel today. I decide how I show up. That kind of self-command changes the way you move through the world. People will notice it before you do. They'll see it in your body language, in the calm way you carry yourself, in the quiet strength behind your eyes. So for 3 days, practice mirror talk like it's your ritual. Morning or night, look at yourself, not through the lens of criticism, but through the eyes of someone who's becoming unstoppable. Say the words that build you. Speak power. Speak calm. Speak control. You don't need anyone else to validate you. You just need to hear it from the only voice that truly matters, your own, because when your reflection starts to believe you, that's when real change begins. Energy follows language. Every word that comes out of your mouth either charges you or drains you. You don't even realize how much your body responds to the things you say. When you tell yourself you're exhausted, your shoulders drop, your breathing slows, and your mind starts shutting down. But when you say, I've got more in me, your body finds more. That's not coincidence. That's connection. Your words are signals, and your body obeys them without question. It listens to every instruction you give, even the ones you throw around carelessly. So when you say you're tired, unmotivated, or done, your body takes it as a command, and when you speak power, it rises to meet it. Think about the difference between I have to and I get to. One feels like a burden, the other feels like an opportunity. Same action, different energy. You can say, I have to go to work, and your body will drag itself there. Or you can say, I get to go to work, and suddenly you show up with purpose. That's the power of language. It changes the emotion that fuels your behavior. And when your emotion shifts, your entire energy field follows. You walk differently, you speak differently, and people around you can feel it. When you constantly feed yourself negative language, you're training your body to expect struggle. You're programming your energy to operate from a place of survival instead of strength. That's why some people always feel tired no matter how much they rest. It's not their body that's drained. It's their mindset that's exhausted. They've been speaking defeat for so long that their energy has no room to rise. But the moment you start using words of power, I'm ready, I'm focused, I'm capable, your body begins to respond with alignment. You start feeling exactly what you're saying. This is why athletes use affirmations before big games. It's why soldiers repeat mantras before missions. They understand that language sets the rhythm of performance. You don't wait to feel strong to speak strength. You speak strength until you feel it. Every word you use creates a pulse inside you, and that pulse becomes your energy. When you say, I can't, your mind shuts off options. When you say, I'll find a way, your brain lights up and starts searching for solutions. Your words literally activate or deactivate your potential. So for the next 3 days, I want you to be ruthless about what comes out of your mouth. No more saying you're tired when you're just unmotivated. No more saying you can't when you haven't even tried. Speak energy into your system. Say, I'm awake, I'm alive, I'm ready. Feel how different that sounds. Feel how your chest expands when you say it. That's your body following your language. The energy you want doesn't come from caffeine, comfort, or luck. It comes from your words. Choose them wisely, and they'll give you power you didn't know you had. Every single person has a voice in their head that starts talking the moment they fall short. You miss a goal, forget something, make a mistake, and that voice jumps in with, you're so stupid, or you always mess things up. It doesn't hesitate. It doesn't forgive. It just attacks. Most people live their whole lives listening to that inner bully without ever realizing it's not truth. It's habit. You've repeated those words for so long that they've become your default reaction. But you have to understand something. Your inner voice can either be your greatest ally or your worst enemy. The way it speaks determines how quickly you recover or how long you stay stuck. When things go wrong, pay attention to what that voice says, because that's the moment your true conditioning shows up. Some people fall once, and their mind calls them a failure. Others fall 10 times, and their mind says, get up, you're almost there. That's not luck. That's training. The people who rise faster after failure have trained their inner voice to work for them, not against them. They've learned to catch the bully in real time. When that cruel tone appears, they stop it. They challenge it. They say, "No, not today. You don't get to speak to me like that." That's how you take your power back from your own thoughts. You can't afford to let your mind abuse you. The world is already hard enough. There are enough critics out there. You don't need to be one more voice tearing yourself down. Think about it. If a friend came to you after failing and you spoke to them the way you speak to yourself, would they ever come back to you for comfort? Probably not. Yet you keep talking to yourself that way, expecting to feel better. It doesn't work. You can't hate yourself into improvement. You can only guide yourself into growth. When you fail, talk to yourself the way a leader talks to their team after a loss. You acknowledge what went wrong, but you focus on what to fix next. You don't scream, you strategize. You don't humiliate, you rebuild. That's how resilience is created. You don't get stronger by being cruel. You get stronger by being constructive. The moment you stop letting your inner bully take the microphone, your mind begins to heal. You stop spiraling over mistakes. You start using them. Every setback becomes a lesson instead of a label. So for the next 3 days, I want you to listen closely to that inner voice. Every time it turns harsh, confront it. Replace every insult with instruction. When it says, "You failed," you say, "I learned." When it says, "You're not good enough," you say, "I'm getting better." The more you do this, the quieter that bully becomes. Over time, your inner voice stops criticizing and starts coaching. That's when you know you've taken control. You're no longer your own worst enemy. You're your best advocate, and that's the voice that will carry you wherever you want to go. The words you use are shaping the way you see yourself. Every time you say, "I hope," or "I'll try," you're leaving space for failure before you even begin. You're giving yourself an escape hatch, a soft landing for when you don't follow through. And that's exactly why most people never move beyond average. They never make firm declarations. They speak in hesitation, in uncertainty, in permission. But the truth is, the language of power doesn't sound like that. It doesn't beg. It commands. It doesn't wait for the right moment. It creates it. If you want to build a stronger mindset, you have to build a stronger vocabulary. You have to speak like someone who means it. Start by catching every soft phrase that slips out of your mouth. Words like maybe, hopefully, we'll see, or I'll try. They sound polite, but they're poison for progress. When you say, "I hope I can do it," you're not expressing belief. You're expressing doubt. You're preparing to fail quietly. But when you say, "I will do it," your brain begins to align with that statement. It starts searching for ways to make it true. Your language sets your direction. It's a declaration of what you allow yourself to believe. So stop speaking like a bystander and start speaking like a participant in your own life. Think about how warriors speak. They don't say, "I hope the battle goes well." They say, "We fight, we win, we survive." Their language carries certainty. That certainty becomes energy, and that energy becomes action. When you speak with conviction, you activate something inside you that hesitation can never reach. You feel different, you move different, you become different. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. You're aligning your words with your purpose instead of your fears. That's how confidence is built, through repetition of decisive speech. From now on, when you catch yourself saying, "I'll try," stop and correct it. Say, "I'm doing it." Feel the difference. "I'll try" gives you an option to quit. "I'm doing it" locks you in. It tells your mind that quitting is not even on the table. When you say, "Maybe someday," change it to, "It's happening now." Don't push your goals into the future. Pull them into the present. The more you speak in the now, the faster you act in the now. Your words pull your behavior into alignment with your intentions. For the next 3 days, train your tongue like you're training your body. No more weak language, no more hesitation, no more half-hearted phrases. Speak with certainty. Declare what you're doing and where you're going, even if it scares you, especially if it scares you, because that's how you retrain your mind to believe you. Power doesn't come from noise. It comes from precision. Every strong person you admire built their strength by building their words first. So stop hoping. Stop trying. Start declaring. The moment you decide to speak like a warrior, life starts responding like one is in command. For the next 3 days, I want you to start keeping score. Not with anyone else, just with yourself. Carry a notebook, use your phone, whatever works. But I want you to write down every single negative thing you say about yourself. Every complaint, every doubt, every I can't, every this always happens to me. Don't skip anything. You'll be surprised at how much of your language is working against you. Most people have no idea how much they're sabotaging their own progress, not because they don't have potential, but because they've trained their minds to expect failure. When you start tracking those words, you'll see it clearly, how often your own voice becomes your biggest obstacle. The first step to change is awareness. You can't fix what you don't see. Once you start catching those phrases, you'll begin to understand why certain patterns keep repeating in your life. Every negative thought is a seed, and the more often you plant it, the more it grows. You may not even notice it anymore because it's become part of your identity. You say things like, I'm not that confident, I'm bad with people, I always mess things up, and you believe it. But those are not facts. They're habits. And habits can be broken, replaced, and rebuilt. Writing them down gives you a mirror, one that doesn't lie. You'll notice that most of these phrases appear when you feel uncomfortable, tired, or challenged. That's because your mind is wired to protect you from effort. It uses negative language to convince you to quit before you start. The trick is to catch that moment, to pause and replace it. When you write down a negative phrase, don't just leave it there, rewrite it. Next to every self-defeating line, add a new command. If you wrote, I can't do this, replace it with, I'm learning how to do this. If you said, I always fail, rewrite it as, I'm getting better every time. You're not lying to yourself. You're reprogramming your brain to see progress instead of limitation. At the end of each day, review what you wrote. Don't judge it. Just notice it. You'll start to see patterns, the same words showing up again and again. That's your old mindset on repeat. Those phrases are the chains holding you back, but once you see them, they lose their power. You realize they've been automatic, not intentional, and that's when you can start to replace them consciously. You can't fight what you can't identify. Tracking your words is the most powerful way to become aware of your mental habits. After 3 days of this, you'll start catching yourself in real time before the words even leave your mouth. You'll stop mid-sentence, change your tone, adjust your thought. That's growth. That's you taking back control. This exercise isn't about writing, it's about awareness. Because once you realize how often you've been speaking defeat, you'll never want to do it again. And when you stop feeding yourself negativity, your mind starts to breathe. It starts to open. It starts to believe. That's how transformation begins, not with big actions, but with quiet accountability. 3 days, 1 notebook, 100 small awakenings that will change how you talk to yourself forever. You spend your whole life talking to yourself, yet most of the time, that voice isn't on your side. It questions you, criticizes you, makes you hesitate when you should move. But what if, for once, that voice became your ally? What if it became the one that pushed you, defended you, reminded you of who you are when you forget? You have that power. The same voice that's been tearing you down can be trained to lift you up. It doesn't require years. It just requires awareness, consistency, and self-respect. For 3 days, I want you to start treating that inner voice like a teammate, not an enemy. When you speak to yourself with kindness, your brain starts to trust you. It begins to believe that you have your own back. You stop second-guessing every decision because deep down you know you'll handle it. That's where real confidence comes from. It's not loud, it's not arrogant, it's steady. It's the quiet certainty that you can rely on yourself. The people who move with calm strength aren't born like that. They've trained their inner voice to be their supporter, not their judge. They've learned how to self-regulate through words that build, not break. Every time you say something positive about yourself, your brain records it as evidence. It doesn't care if it's true yet. It just accepts repetition as reality. When you say, I'm getting better, your brain starts to look for proof. When you say, I'm proud of how I handled that, it rewires your perspective toward progress instead of failure. You're not pretending everything's perfect. You're programming your focus to look at growth, not flaws. Over time, that becomes your default setting. You stop needing outside validation because you've built internal affirmation. Being your own ally also means holding yourself accountable, but with compassion. It means saying, I messed up, but I'm fixing it, instead of, I always screw things up. It means pushing yourself to do better without tearing yourself apart. That's what a real ally does. They support you in becoming stronger, not smaller. You have to start talking to yourself the way someone who truly wants to see you win would. No more punishment, no more guilt loops, just clear, honest, empowering direction. After 3 days of consistent, respectful self-talk, something starts to shift. You'll feel lighter, calmer, more focused. You'll catch yourself walking differently, thinking differently, showing up differently. It's not because the world changed, it's because you did. You became your own source of power instead of waiting for someone else to give it to you. That's when confidence stops being a performance and becomes a lifestyle. So, for 3 days, make a promise to yourself. No self-bashing, no doubt-driven language, no talking down. Speak to yourself as you would to someone you believe in. Encourage, correct, guide, motivate, but never destroy. Because the moment you become your own ally, the world stops being your battlefield and starts becoming your training ground. That's how strength is built, from the inside, word by word, until your own voice becomes the one that leads you forward.